Hi guys, I know it has been long ever since I posted a video on our channel because nowadays I've been posting quite often, more than the usual way I post on this channel. So welcome to the Black Consciousness Movement channel, the Traore Army as we call it now. And today we're gonna go right into what we want to discuss, which is first of all, we're gonna look at the so-called coup that happened or supposed to have happened in the Ivory Coast, and what I think we learned from that, or what we can learn from that. And then we're gonna look at the interview with the president of the United States and the president of South Africa. I think I touched a little bit of it on like another video, but there was just something like a sentence that the president of the United States used that I felt like whether you've noticed that. So let's get right into business. And yeah, my name is Jehovah. So welcome back, and for those who are new on this channel, we are family, so don't feel like you are new or whatever, because here we are here to actually share news about what's going on in the African continent or on the African continent, behind the scenes, those information that they don't want you to know. So subscribe, like, comment, and share the video so that we can obviously alert each other about what's going on and what's happening on the continent, those things that they don't want you to know. So today we're going to actually look at two different things. We're going to look at what was happening in the Ivory Coast, the so-called fake coup, if I have to call it that, and what to think about it. And I think I'm going to share one of the channels that I also watch. I watch, usually there's Africa Today, a song with Louis, who is really like, the way he presents the information is so accurate and just very dramatic, and it's just one of those channels that I enjoy watching. I also have COUP. I'm also gonna share that as well, because as I usually say, this is not a news channel. This is where we talk about our hair, feeling comfortable in our own skin and all those things. But eventually, because of what's going on in the continent, I'm like, you know what? Some people don't even know what's going on, and we have so many communities, and sometimes those channels are foreign to our communities because we don't really know them. And that's why I thought it's important for me to start sharing what's going on the continent of Africa, and also share the channels that really deals and go into like real deep depth of information, since I'm not a news channel. I usually say that. So let's look at what was going on in the Ivory Coast. So first of all, there was there was a lot of information coming from there, like about an apparent coup happening, a lot of things. And there were a lot of videos circulated on the internet, which obviously now we found that most of them were fake and all that. At this moment, as I'm speaking to you, there is no coup in the Ivory Coast. But this is the thing, even though there was no coup, the fact of the matter is that when you look at the responses of, how people responded, if there was a coup, it's surprising. And this is where, Africa Today will come in, because I'm going to share, because as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, he actually noticed what I noticed. First of all, I noticed the fact that people were happy, and the fact that people were happy showed that they're actually tired with Alassane Ouattara, meaning that they don't really, that's not democratic. If the whole, like 80% of the nation don't want you, but you just decided that you're going to stay in power, then that's not democracy. But remember, the West is here to preach democracy to us and all that, but we know that the West only preach democracy when the leader they want to put in power is actually kind of satisfying what they want to explode from that country. So democracy that's why now we know that democracy has been a hoax, really, because democracy, it's not really benefit the African continent, as we've seen with so many other African countries that has apparently, got into democracy due to being told and actually kind of being forced, because democracy is presented as if this is good thing, but what has African countries gotten out of it? We know obviously that they have not gotten anything. Anyway, let's look at that video and then we can talk about it.
When the spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion. That's an ancient African proverb, and right now, something is happening in Ivory Coast that proves just how powerful united webs can become. On May 21st, 2025, social media exploded with reports of chaos in Abidjan. Videos of protesters flooding the streets, claims of internet shutdowns, whispers of military movements, allegations of coup attempts that could change everything. But then, silence. Major news outlets stayed quiet. International media looked the other way. It's just like someone pressed the mute button on an entire nation's cry for freedom. I'm Asonga Luis, and this is the Strategic Lens. Today, we are going deep into what mainstream media won't. Today, we are uncovering the Ivory Coast crisis that has Western powers scrambling and African revolutionaries celebrating. Because what happened, or what they are claiming happened in Ivory Coast, isn't just about one country. It's about a domino that could topple an entire system of control that has been choking Africa for decades. Let me walk you through what we know and what we don't know. May 21st, 2025, reports start flooding social media. Thousands of Ivorians allegedly on the streets. Government buildings reportedly on fire. Internet connectivity issues across the country. Claims of up to 33 unalives between May 19 and May 20th. But here is where it gets interesting and suspicious. Why these reports spread like wildfire across X, Facebook and WhatsApp? Not a single major international news outlet confirmed these events. BBC silence, Reuters nothing, Al Jazeera radio silence. Now you might think maybe it didn't happen, but hold on. Let me ask you something. When has Western media ever been shy about reporting African instability? When have they ever missed an opportunity to show Africa in chaos? Unless this wasn't the chaos they wanted you to see. Unless this was the kind of uprising that threatens their interests rather than serves them. Because according to reports that did circulate, something unprecedented was happening. The Ivorian people weren't just protesting, they were celebrating the possibility of military intervention. They were allegedly welcoming a potential coup. When was the last time you heard Africans celebrating a coup? When was the last time you heard people took to the streets to ask their military to overcome their government? When?
Now, when we look at that video, when we listen very well, first of all, we are now in a time where people are actually happy for a coup. And I think you know what a coup is. It's when the military take control of the government and shake whatever leader was there out of power because they are not happy about what he's doing. Now, I have to say that it doesn't mean that every single time when a military take control, the leader that's going to be in power is for the people. Because remember, they don't call it coup d'etat for nothing. That's a French word. Because when you look at the countries that has experienced a lot of coups in the past, it has been all the ex-colonies of France. So most of the time, it has been France coming to do a coup against the person that they don't want and put in power the person that they want. Because remember how they have been complaining about Ibrahim Traore, yet they are quiet about Paul Biya of Cameroon, who has been in power for the past 42 years. And obviously, you know, the country is completely F up, if I have to say that. Like the infrastructure is like insane. And obviously, you know that this is an elderly guy who actually don't even live in Cameroon. He lives outside the country. He just come every 5 years for the election, and he's obviously voted in. But we don't really know how he gets voted in power, because obviously we know that even in Cameroon we had like some videos that has been circulating that people has been going to the street to say that, you know what, we don't want this leader anymore. So people are tired all over the world, and this is the awakening of the African continent that I'm talking about. So now, when we go back to the coup that happened in Cote d'Ivoire, it's very clear that the general citizen in that country actually was happy about the coup. I can say, based on the comments that I read on the videos and all that, that 90% of the general citizen in that country was actually happy that Ouattara is out of power. I know that he's not out of power. I'm only saying based on the many information that came out about how happy they were. Now that's suspicious. The fact that they were so happy about him being in power, even though he's not, show that they are unhappy about him being in power. Because remember, he's on his third term now and he wants to go for the fourth term, and the country constitution is actually making provision for only 2 terms, but he came in and changed that. And also he also actually want to run on his own without any opposition, because the guy that's supposed to actually being in the opposition is apparently restricted because he's a French citizen, even though he actually sacrificed his citizenship, his French citizen, because he has to actually decide that, okay, he's not going to be a French citizen anymore, because he wants to run for that party so that he can qualify, yet he was still disqualified. Now, the second point of this is the fact that how is it possible that the Western media has never once, especially BBC, never mentioned once about this coup that was happening in Ivory Coast? Now, you might say that they probably are not interested in fake news. No, that's not the case, because they have been running a lot of fake news when it comes to Burkina Faso. They have never said anything good about Ibrahim Traore, about the good that we know he's doing. Watermeyer has reported about it. He was there physically. He reported a lot of the developments that this guy is doing, but they have never ever reported once about it. But when it comes to things that are not true, that obviously the citizens reported that no, when they say that this is civilians that died, this is actually not civilians, these are the terrorists. They have reported about that. So we cannot say it's because it's fake news. It's definitely because they want to create that kind of narrative. And I think Louis of obviously Africa Today, the video that I share, is very accurate in his observation when he says that, what if it's not? What if they kept it away, because that's not the news that they want to hear? Because obviously if they have to circulate that, it's gonna obviously show everybody that no one's, like most of the citizens in Cote d'Ivoire don't want Ouattara anymore, right? Isn't that the case? So I think now we actually realize that it's not kind of coincidental that apparently they didn't report on the Ivory Coast supposed to be coup or whatever that was, but it's because they are deliberate about why they are not reporting. They have a reason for not wanting to report it. So guys, this should open your eyes on what we are dealing with right now at the moment. We are dealing with Ibrahim Traore exposing all these elites in the West, European Union, and even ECOWAS, what they really stand for. So guys, share, like, comment, and subscribe. And please push that notification button so that every single time when I load a new video, you'll be notified. But please guys, share and go to those channels that I share a link below, so that you can also get to know about news that maybe I didn't share. So guys, this is the time for us to work together. It's not about being in competition because my channel has to go better or do better or whatever. I'm not into that. That's why I'm sharing other channels that I think do better in the things that sometimes I share, because that's not my, should I say, my cup of cake in that sense. So from me, Jehovah, take care, guys. Bye.
Isizwe sama,